Yeah, thanks, Jenny. It's a sad day, isn't it? We're handing out our final game balls. It's been a blast, though. I've given a game ball to a squirrel, some woodchucks, a lion, a burro, a demon, a tornado, and a titan. It's a pretty wild and random list. It also highlights some of the great nicknames in North Dakota high school sports. Before we get to this week's game ball winner, let's give out our top performance list. Let's start with a Rocket. New Rockford Cheyenne's Bo Belquist has been putting up big games all year, along with his quarterback Teddy Elmaris. Number 21 is a stud. This past week, he hauled in 9 passes for 125 yards and a trio of touchdowns, helping the unbeaten Rockets to a win over Kidder County. They get a showdown with fellow unbeaten Thompson on Saturday in the quarterfinal round. Hillsboro Central Valley QB Micah Gallagher played the best game of his young career. Gallagher came into the game with 300 yards passing on the season, and he showed out against Harvey-Wells County, completing 8 of 10 passes for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns, in addition to 60 yards rushing and a score. We have another record holder in Castleton. Wide receiver Jacob Halverson racked up 103 receiving yards and a touchdown, en route to becoming the Squirrels' new all-time career receiving yards record holder. His QB, of course, Jonah Leitz, became the school's all-time leading passer earlier this year. Last week's game ball winner makes the list. NDSU commit Kaden Koontz. He's putting up video game numbers on a weekly basis. He touched the ball 9 times on offense and turned it into 203 yards and 3 touchdowns, and that's not counting his 79-yard kickoff return for a score, his second in as many weeks. Beulah's power running game translated to another big day for Caleb McGraw. Man, I love that name. 200 yards and 3 touchdowns for the senior in a huge playoff win over previously unbeaten Bishop Ryan. Knocked him out of the playoffs. Minot missed out on the postseason, but Peyton Filion is giving them hope for the future. The junior rushed for over 200 yards and scored 6 times in the win over Red River. Ty Satter continues to make plays all over the field. 100 receiving yards and a touchdown on offense, and then a forced fumble, fumble recovery, and an interception on defense. His Eagles will host Mandan on Fargo South's turf field on Friday night. Now, I mispronounced his name a few weeks ago on Varsity Sports Live, but I know it now. Jacob Swihovic with a perfect performance in a playoff win over Ned Rose. 4 of 4 passing for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also exploded for 72 rushing yards and a score. Swihovic. Velva's defense gets the nod. The Aggies intercepted 5 passes in the second half of a playoff win over Hazen. And finally, Nathan Weigel. He's having a fantastic senior season for Napoleon Gackle-Streeter. The All-State running back rushed for 160 yards and 4 touchdowns in a redemption win over Cavalier. The Imperials now host Oaks on Saturday. Now to our game ball winner. He's just a sophomore, so this might be the first of many. Langdon-Edgeley-Munich QB Simon Romfo gets the game ball after passing for 223 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also carried the ball 10 times for 102 yards and 2 more touchdowns in the playoff win over Ellendale-Edgeley-Kulm. He was tasked with replacing Jacob Delvo, who led the Cardinals to the Dakota Bowl last year, and Romfo has the offense humming along with an unblemished record going into the quarterfinal round.